We are hopefully live. Yep, we are. And we are open. Welcome to the the prelude, anyways, to the 1992 Throwbacks. This is a 20-lap exhibition race that we use to kick off the season here. Just get acclimated with all of the driver and roster changes that ended up happening within the offseason. Of course, who doesn't love a dash for cash? All 42 drivers that ended up making it into 1992 Throwbacks ends up getting a shot at $100,000 at the end of the race. And qualifying, well, we just had it being held, and Dale Earnhardt, lo and behold, ended up qualifying on the pole, as one would expect. Of course, Bill Elliott no longer with the 9 team. He's now with Junior Johnson. So that definitely complicates things a little bit, at least in the super speedway department. Dale Earnhardt might actually be able to run uncontested, depending on how good or bad that team ends up being. Anyways, just only a couple of seconds here before the command is given for the prelude. And here we go with the command.
3, 2, 1. Gentlemen, start your engines.
And there we go. The cars now roll off here into turn number 3. 2x2, 21 rows deep here at this 2.5 mile long facility at the Daytona International Speedway. Again, this race will be 20 laps long. No pit stops to be expected. Just a 20 lap dash for cash. No points involved. Pace car pulls down into pit road. Dale Earnhardt and Ken Schrader will come down, and they will take the green flag here from Daytona, as the 1992 season will unofficially begin right now. And here we go. We're already going to go 3 wide into turn 1. Alrighty then, Terry Labonte wasting no time. Remember, that team was an Oldsmobile last season. They've switched over to Ford, and that team already seems to have a huge boost in speed. Yeah, that team has been lightning quick so far through the testing this year. That 94 team especially has just been really good. Another team that's been really solid so far is that 26 team of Ricky Rudd. These guys, they were Buick last season. They've switched over to the Ford Thunderbird, and that seems to be paying off dividends, as they have also been very, very fast. Not a team that you traditionally see up here towards the front at the super speedways. However, a team we definitely do usually see here, number 17, Darrell Waltrip, Hendrick Motorsports, usually very fast here at Daytona. Yeah, Rick Hendrick really loves setting up his cars for this track. Of course, Darrell Waltrip, his own team, but they are still heavily affiliated with Rick Hendrick there with that 17 operation. So, although that Darrell Waltrip is technically an owner-driver now, he's still getting big-time help from Hendrick. And now we look back at second place. One of our new driver switches this season, Larry Pearson, to drive the number 8 Ford Thunderbird. That used to be a Buick as well. Buick, of course, no longer in NASCAR for 1992. They've switched over to a Ford Thunderbird, and I'll tell you what, Larry Pearson's shown some impressive speed so far. That's definitely true. That number 8 team seems to be doing very, very well for themselves. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to keep up speed through Speedweeks and into future races. Now, these next 4 drivers here on the bottom need no introduction. Harry Gant, 1984 championship runner-up, And then you have Kyle Petty, son of legend Richard Petty, who's in his final season of Throwbacks action. He announced that in the offseason that it was going to be his final year, and everyone's really anticipating it. Of course, Richard Petty hasn't really done much in his past couple of seasons. He did win a race at Talladega to push his career win count to number 199. We'll see if he can potentially get to win number 200 this year. It'll probably take another lucky win from either Daytona or Talladega for it to happen. Yeah, that Richard Petty Talladega win, it was unexpected, but it was indeed huge. Davey Allison, Mark Martin now battling for these positions. Two drivers that didn't necessarily have the 1991 they were hoping for. Mark Martin ended up finishing third in the championship, as it seems like he's going to be around for a very, very long time. Yeah, he kind of came up out of nowhere in 1989 and sort of just popped up, be like, whoa, here's this massive star all of a sudden. And then he had a little bit of an underwhelming 1990, and then he just breaks out in 1991 and leads the points deep into the season without even winning a race, which is impressive in its own right. Very similar to what Jeff Bodine did in 1990 before Alan Kwiatkowski ran away with that title. Very similar thing happened in 91 where Mark Martin, without winning a race, just led the championship deep into the season. Ended up winning a race, but it was unfortunately by that time Rusty Wallace had won 3 out of 4 races and started to really distance himself from Martin in the championship. Don't be surprised if you see this number 6 team win a championship sometime in the near future. Speaking of championships, man, do we have a stacked roster. I mean, Davey Allison, he's gotten much faster so far throughout these speed weeks. You usually see him in the mid-teens. He's up there in the top 5 in pretty much every single speed chart this season. That 28 team may have turned a corner. It'll be interesting to see how they continue through the 1992 season. Obviously, 1991 was a bit of a resurgence for that 28 team. Almost got a top 10 points finish to show for it. They were very, very strong. The thing is that now they're creeping into 1992. This team has not won a race, believe it or not, since Michigan, the second Michigan race of 1988. A lot of promise was bestowed upon Davey Allison. We thought he was going to be the next big thing when he ended up coming on the scene. It just has not panned out yet for that 28 team. I'll tell you what, he is hanging on the high lane of this track very, very nicely. Yeah, this just shows how fast this 28 car is. Usually the bottom lane is absolutely the preferred lane, but man, that 28 car is holding on really easily in that high lane. Going back a little bit further here, you can see Sterling Marlin in that 22 team. Another team that you could figure could probably actually compete for the championship. And same thing with Phil Parsons here in this one. Now, I don't think that they would be able to win the championship, but they could definitely spoil a win or two this season. Yeah, both of these guys have a very good possibility of being in the top 10 in points. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to. That one team has really made some significant strides in the past few seasons with Phil Parsons, since Phil Parsons got his first win at Talladega back in 1989. Parsons has been grinding his way back. He wants to get back to victory lane, specifically in that number 1 machine. We'll see if he'll be able to do it, but as of right now, they don't have a really big winning track record, and sort of the same thing with the second Junior Johnson car, number 22, Sterling Marlin. He's pretty much just sitting right there. Now, you want to talk about big stories. Here's the biggest of them. Bill Elliott, who has raced a predominant part of his career with Melling Racing. He ended up winning 2 championships with them, one in 84 and one in 89. He has moved on. Jeff Bodine is now running in that number 9 machine and driving in the legendary number 11 Ford Thunderbird, the team that has 6 NASCAR championships underneath it. Bill Elliott. This is going to be something utterly insane. Bill has obviously a ton of experience, 2 championships underneath him. He's NASCAR's most popular driver, and he's now driving for probably NASCAR's most successful team owner in the modern era with Junior Johnson. As you said, 6 championships, 3 with Cale Yarborough, 3 with Darrell Waltrip. So, I mean, I think it's slam dunk that Bill Elliott's the favorite to win a championship. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Even though there have been speculations that Junior Johnson's really lost his edge, specifically to the Hendrick cars, but I don't think that's the case. That 11 car is still bad fast, and I think you're going to see Bill Elliott make an immediate splash, to say the least. We've already talked about Terry Labonte here. Of course, one driver that ended up having a bit of a down season last year, Tim Richmond, another driver that you could definitely see competing for this championship this year. I mean, that 25 team, you can't count them out. Obviously, winner of the 1987 championship, and came within 3 points of winning the 1989 championship, but unfortunately was denied that one. All he needed to do was stay out that one time, and they just didn't do it. Oh, they would have been champions. That still bugs me to this day, honestly. But, hey, it was a botched call, but this team really wants to get back into the championship circle. They know that Tim Richmond's going to be good for 3 to 5 wins per season. These guys are pretty much just focusing on a championship, and anything that isn't a top 5 in points is pretty much a bust for these guys at this point. So, Richmond trying to get back onto his feet after a little bit of a disappointment in 1991. We'll see what he'll be able to do. Going further back in the field is, of course, our 1990 Throwbacks champion. That is owner-driver Alan Kawicki. Another person that you absolutely cannot count out of 1992. Here we go. You know, already a heavy hitter. He won the championship with Xerox on his car. Xerox ends up leaving him without a sponsor. He ends up picking up the Hooters sponsorship on the number 7. And although he slipped a little bit in 1991 due to funding issues, I have a feeling he's going to pick right back up where he left off in 1990. He's going to be right up there competing for the championship. I can easily see Alan Kawicki also being one of the favorites here for 1992. We have Rusty Wallace, the defending 1991 Throwbacks champion, and you know, it is very, very difficult to defend a championship. Ever since the Throwbacks started in 1984, we have not had a champion defend his title. The closest that we've had was Dale Earnhardt, where he was really dominating the mid to late 80s there. Won the championship in 86, finished in second in 87, won the championship in 88, and then finished third in 89. So Earnhardt really went on a run of terror there, but a little bit less known is that Rusty Wallace has not finished, with the exception of an abysmal 1990 season, which saw him DNF out of 10 races. Rusty Wallace has not finished outside the top 4 in points since 1988. And that abysmal 1990 season that he ended up having, by the way, he ended up having the most wins that year. He had 7 wins that year. He had just as much as Alan Kawicki. So, Rusty Wallace, he had a ton of wins that year. He's obviously another player that's going to come into a factor. And speaking of Dale Earnhardt, there he is, stuck far back here despite being the pole sitter of this race. Earnhardt definitely locked in a little bit of a struggle here. Yeah, he's been on a tailspin since he ended up having that horrible crash at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. That ended up giving him a pretty serious rib injury and also several injuries to his head. He ended up coming back. He's been back, but he has not been the same Dale Earnhardt since that wreck. However, he started to show signs of improvement at the end of the 1991 season. I expect Dale Earnhardt to be back to championship form here through 1992. I would not be surprised if we don't see... I would be very surprised if we see that man in black multiple times he will be a multiple-time winner this year. Some other storylines as we go through the field we've already mentioned. Richard Petty, this will be his final year. Unfortunately, he's fallen out of the draft here, so he will not be competing for the win. But this will be his final year in the Cup Series. Some other storylines to pay attention to, of course, the Rookie of the Year race. It's going to boil down between two people. We have Kenny Wallace picking up Mickey Gibbs' ride, along with some new sponsorship. Sam McMahon ended up getting along Kenny Wallace's Busch Series sponsor, Dust Devil, to come along for the 1992 season. So look for Kenny Wallace to compete for Rookie of the Year. And they will all be competing against Cale Yarborough's new guy, Jimmy Hensley, in the 66. And let me tell you what, Jimmy Hensley looks really damn good in that car. That 66 car has been nothing but fast throughout all of Speedweeks so far. You could see him up here in the top 10 competing for the win. Though this deadlock here at the front has just been impressive. That 28 car has some speed behind him, man. It's been insane, to say the least. Yeah, but Jimmy Hensley, I'd say, is the favorite for Rookie of the Year. It could go to Kenny Wallace, but I doubt it. It should definitely go to Hensley. They're the two big guys. Chad Little taking over the number 15. Of course, with his dad owning the number 19 Ford Thunderbird, he actually ended up having a very good race in the mid-pack. Usually with Rob Moroso, those two really ended up competing with each other, seemed to make themselves better. Chad Little seemed to have done very, very well in that 19 machine. We'll see what he's able to do with Bud Moore equipment this season. Should be interesting to find out. Another big switch to note, Rick Mast is now going to be driving the number 16. That's the Keystone Light Ford Thunderbird. That's actually the same team as Mark Martin. Jack Roush entering the second full-time car for the first time. We'll see if that ends up paying off for him. I'm kind of surprised he's already trying to venture out for a second car. Hasn't won a championship yet. You figure Junior Johnson, he's won a championship, branched out to a second car. Rick Hendrick won a championship, branched out to a second car, then branched out to a third car after winning a second one. Yeah, didn't win the second one. He just won the first one. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see. And we do have a new owner. Coach of the Washington Redskins, Joe Gibbs, has decided to own a NASCAR team, and he's selected Dale Jarrett to drive his number 18 Interstate Battery Chevrolet Lumina for 1992. And very quickly, Morgan Shepherd will be driving for the Wood Brothers. Well, we are on our final lap here from Daytona. Davey Allison may have finally cleared that 6 car. Not quite. We'll see if Martin will have anything for Allison coming to the line as they come off a turn 4. The checkered flag is in the air as they come to the line. It should be all for the 28. And yes, it will. Davey Allison will straight up out-duel and outspeed Mark Martin on the high lane en route to a dominating victory. That should probably tell you the speed of the 28 team to be able to go out there. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do that. Go out there on the high lane and be able to hold his line like that. Extremely impressive out of Davey Allison. I'll tell you what, that Robert Yates crew is going to be very, very fun to watch throughout this season. We'll go ahead and pull up the official standings here for you. As you can see, here they are as we scroll through. Davey Allison will win $100,000. And we will see you tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, as we'll do duels number 1 and 2. We'll see you then.